My advice when you're doing public speaking is never give out the handouts first. My name is Bruce Rule. I'm a writer and editor, and I help my range of clients with all kinds of writing needs, whether it's social media, newsletters, articles, speeches, basically anything they've written, I take and I make better, or I write it myself for them. I also teach public speaking, both in workshops and with private clients. I have a book out called Heartfelt Goodbye. It's a eulogy book. It's how to write and deliver a eulogy when you lose a loved one. A lot of people are now buying it in anticipation of losing an elderly parent or an elderly spouse. And that's a great idea because you don't want to wait till the last minute to really put together a tribute for your loved one. So check it out. I gave a workshop last night online to a writers group about how to really master your public appearance as an author. And one of the questions came up about whether or not you should do a handout before you speak. And we were talking about maybe the reading, or if you're going to be doing an author appearance about a particular topic, for instance, how to break into the romance genre or something like that. And I told the people on the webinar that I didn't think that was a good idea. I always advise people never hand out any material before the meeting begins. Only do it after you speak. And the reason is that to be persuasive, to really make a connection with the audience, you have to have them paying attention to you, not to a piece of paper in front of them. And you know that's going to happen. If you do a handout at the beginning of the meeting, people are going to start flipping through the paper. They're going to be reading the paper instead of looking at you while you're talking. It really undercuts your persuasive ability in front of an audience if you've given them something to read instead. Now, you can put up PowerPoint presentations. And what some people do is they'll say, I can send you the slides afterwards. I don't even do that, to be honest with you, because my attitude is that the PowerPoint slides are there to support what you're saying in your presentation. The PowerPoint slides by themselves isn't good enough. I mean, you're not really going to understand what my presentation is if you just look at my slides. Same thing with a handout. If your handout is such that if you give it to them ahead of your speech and they read it and they go, okay, I know exactly what you want. I know exactly what you're doing. Why am I sitting here listening to it? You've hurt yourself. Now, the type of handout that you can do, for instance, is if you put up on the screen some sales figures over the last 5 years. And you say, after the meeting, I have a handout with more details on those sales figures broken down by weekly or monthly if you need them. That makes sense because you're adding something of value after your presentation. But don't allow your handout to replace your presentation. That's my concern. And that's why I advise never to hand out any materials before the meeting. Now, I will say on the writer's workshop last night online that one person did argue against that. She said, look, I do poetry and I do haiku. And when I read from the stage, it's so much easier for the audience to follow along with the line breaks and whatnot if they've got the poem in front of them. And I said, I can understand it. I can understand that. But here's what I suggested to the poet. I said, instead of doing a handout, put the haiku, put the poem in a PowerPoint slide and put it behind you off to the side. Don't read it. Don't read it. You're going to read out of your book, or if you memorize it, you can just say it. But the fact of the matter is you don't want to turn your head and be facing this way while talking because that undercuts you. You want to maintain eye contact. You want to be looking at the audience. You want the audience to look at you. Now, if they've got to follow along on the PowerPoint slide, that's okay. As soon as you're done, you turn the PowerPoint slide off, because you won't need the attention on you. Remember, one of the biggest things about making an appearance whether you're an author or anything else, anybody else, is you want the connection with the audience to be with you, not your material on a PowerPoint slide. So whenever you can, make sure that you keep the focus on what you're saying. And that means don't do handouts before the meeting. If you got to hand something out with more material, more information, do it after you talk. And by the way, if you do something like that, always put your contact information and name on the handout. So this way, if they need more material, they have a question, they can reach out to you. Quite frankly, that's the only way I think a handout should be done. You hand it out after the meeting, after the presentation, with your contact information. So this way they can reach out to you. What do you think? How do you handle it? Do you do handouts before you speak? I'd be curious because I really think that's not a good idea. But if you think it's a good idea, please give me the rationale for doing it. And please like and share this video because I do think it will help other people when they're doing public appearances to make sure that they connect with the audience. Please subscribe. That really helps me. It helps YouTube. It allows YouTube to know that there are people watching this video. And until next week, take care.